Hello, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to share with you the most effective secret for combating postpartum woes. And it's also the most controversial or the one that's the hardest for me to talk about because people are grossed out. So if you gross out easily and you can kind of guess where I'm going, you should tune in anyway just to let the seed get planted. And if you're already done having your baby, then this is out for you. But if you haven't had your baby yet and you're still in that group where you're thinking about having a baby, consider this. So, placenta ingestion. So think about it for a moment. That early stage of pregnancy, the first 3 months, you're putting so much energy into your baby. And you're not even putting energy into your baby at that point. All of your energy is going into creating this placenta. It takes everything you have. You're tired, you're throwing up all the time if you have morning sickness. You can't move, no one knows you're pregnant. And you're not even building your baby yet. You're building the thing that's going to feed your baby. And that thing is a really big piece of flesh called your placenta. It's thick, it's dark, it's dense, it's the biggest thing that looks like a liver you've ever seen. Some women choose to cut it up and dry it and then get it encapsulated. And that's really wonderful. It can be really helpful, especially if you're prone to depression on a regular basis and you want to take it when you're in your menopausal years. That can be really great, I hear. There wasn't enough placenta for me for that. What I did was I froze my placenta in a big chunk, and then I had to freeze it as one piece because I was in the hospital for a little while, and by the time I got out of the hospital, it needed to just be frozen. Otherwise, it wasn't going to be good anymore. So then, when I needed it, I would cut chunks off, and I would fry it up, and I would eat it with salt and pepper, just like a regular steak. And it was the best steak I've ever had. It was a very sad day, the last day that the last piece of my placenta was gone. And I know you might be grossed out, but you're listening to someone who it was salvation times 1,000 to have this piece of meat to be able to eat to help me feel better. And how did I know that I needed this? I used it for 8 months. 8 months I cut pieces off of this, and little tiny pieces, like a 1 ounce, 2 ounce piece. I knew it when I was losing my mind, when I was really losing my mind and no one around me could win, and I was having the hardest time of my life. That's when I needed to have placenta. I have a friend who ate hers all up in the first couple of weeks. But I knew that it helped my life so much that I just rationed it. And you might know what I'm talking about when you're losing your mind and no one around you can win, and you feel so sad and like life is just not meant to serve you. And when I would prepare that placenta and eat it, as soon as I brought it up to my lips, I knew I could feel this vibration that it was going to help me. With my first baby, I didn't eat the whole thing. I only ate a little bit of it, and I definitely didn't use it. And my relationship with my first husband didn't last. I left when my first baby, she was 2. And I know that I was quite hard to be around, and he was hard to be around too. But I didn't use this resource of like, when I'm at the end of my rope, all I need is whatever those nutrients were that I put into that placenta, I knew I needed them back. And with the second baby, I knew I needed them back even more. And so one story, I'm on my way to pick up my daughter. She's 9 from school, and I'm halfway there. It's like a 4-block drive. I'm halfway there, and I imagine she's not going to remember me when I get there. This story just pops up into my heart, and my brain spins it so fast that I imagine the despair that would happen if I got to my daughter and she didn't know who I was, and how she'd just be like, I don't know who you are. Who are you? And of course that would never happen, but that was the present my brain gave me on the way to pick her up from school. And that's one of the days that I knew that I needed to use it. Other days I do yoga all the time, I meditate all the time, but I might be screaming. I might be screaming at everybody and like just crying and sad and just like at the end of my rope. And then I eat a little bit of placenta and suddenly I'm fine. Just like fine. It's because all those nutrients that I poured into it, I poured into my baby before they were even forming, I get them back and I replace them in my body, and my body is delighted to get them back. And the reason why as a mother I'm so attached to this idea is when I was younger, it grossed me out more than anything else, but it fed this need deep inside of me. I watched a cow give birth to twins. They didn't expect twins. They only knew one was coming. So I watched this cow birth one, and then they're like, oh, she's still huffing and puffing. There's got to be something more. It's got to be the afterbirth. And I'm like, afterbirth? What's afterbirth? I'm like 12 or 11 or something like that. And then all of a sudden out comes another baby. Out comes another cow. And I'm just in awe because they didn't even know there were twins in there in the first place. And then the afterbirth comes out and I'm like, oh, that's really weird. And it comes out and like splats on the ground. And then the cow eats it. Eats the whole thing. And I never really understood why that would be, because it just seemed so gross, like seemed so disgusting. And I was horrified and disgusted by it. But then when I got pregnant, it was a question. Like, if a cow ate their afterbirth, then why don't humans do that? And why would they? And for my first baby, I put a little bit of it into the smoothie and it was gross and I couldn't handle the flavor and I didn't finish it. I planted it underneath of a tree. But for my second baby, I was diligent. I tasted the flavor and I understood that it was good. It tasted good, the best cut of meat I've ever had, and that it was good for me. And it was my life saver. It was a life saver to be able to lean back on that thing that I'd created, that I put all of my life, my heart and soul into. And then after the baby was born, I was able to have that back. So it may or may not be for you, but for me, it was one of the best possible things that I could do. So I encourage you to just think about it, try it out, and if it does gross you out, but you do plan on eating it, have somebody else prepare it for you. Don't even look at it, because you don't have to. Have someone prepare it for you. But if you do have plan, and it is part of the question, make sure that your doctors know that you want to keep it, and they will keep it on ice for you until you can take it home, until someone can take it home for you. So just know that even though it's gross and it's socially taboo and people might think you're really weird and you might never ever tell anyone you did it, just consider doing it, because it might just be the one thing that helps you totally and completely regain my mom would call them scruples, regain whatever makes you tick and move in harmony with yourself, and just grab a hold of that stuff and thrive, really thrive. It replaces some things that were lost in your pregnancy that you might feel better if you had. So thanks for listening to this longer pep talk. And good luck. And if you have any questions or just wanna bounce it around, you're welcome to reach out to me via email. Thanks a lot. Or I'm always available via consultation if you'd like to talk about this kind of stuff too. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a great day.